Morning, lacrosse community. So excited for today's conversation with Bill Lynch. He's known in the Ahwatukee community as the godfather of the game. Really created a great hotbed, and this community goes from the little guys all the way up to the high schoolers. A lot of Division I kids have come from there that in terms of just Arizona lacrosse. So I can't wait for him to show his story and tell us all about why lacrosse is so important to him, how he got involved, and really allow us to share our dream about why lacrosse makes such a big difference in all of our lives. With that, Bill, can you share a little bit with all the audience here how you found lacrosse in the first place and how it became one of your loves?
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me. And it's a pretty neat story. I was working at a company called Russ Lyon in Ahwatukee off of Desert Foothills Parkway, and was in a conversation with a friend on a phone. We were talking about lacrosse and the good old days, and gentleman in the office overheard me mention lacrosse and said, "Hey, do you play this and that?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I have some background from Long Island. I went to a lacrosse school. I didn't play in college, but at least not on the varsity program. Did a little bit of club type ball at Hobart." So, he said, "Well, would you be interested in coaching?" I said, "I've never coached before." And this is back in 2001. And he said, "Well, they have a program here at Desert Vista. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to go check it out." And long story short, 20 minutes later was the first phone call from a gentleman named Kent Henderson asking me if I wanted to be involved. I'm like, "Who is this guy?" Hang up the phone, and 30 minutes later, a gentleman named Bill Nolan called me and started to tell me the story of Will. And I said, "Hey, I would love to come down and check it out." I showed up, I think it was the following Saturday, to a game at Desert Vista. So they had a game on the high school field. I wasn't there 5 minutes, and here comes Bill Nolan up into the stands and physically lifted me out of the seat and brought me down to the field. I had no choice. I was at practice the next week. I think there was a couple weeks left in the season. Helped out a little bit, and the next season I was the head coach of Desert Vista, and that was 2001, 2002. So at that point, I had no children. I was in the real estate business, and it was a lot of fun. It was 25, 30 kids in all of Ahwatukee playing lacrosse. They had won the state championship with Will the year previous, and they were having a rough time recovering from the loss, and they need a little bit of stability, which I'm not sure that I was the right choice, but jumped in with both feet. Went to the U.S. lacrosse conventions and went and got as much education as I could get, and off we went. So that was how we got started.
Well, Bill, you've been involved with Arizona lacrosse then for 19 years, coming up on 20 years. How have you seen this change, and how's it compared to your experience with East Coast lacrosse?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster. I have to admit, when I got involved with Desert Vista, there was no youth program, no feeder program, and that's really where we missed out as a state. So in Ahwatukee, we copied the model that existed, and that was Chaparral's model, and they had multiple youth programs that were feeding into their high school program run by Jason Silkey, and the youth programs. There was a few guys involved, but the big name was Rich Maccabee, and so Chaparral had several youth programs feeding one high school program, and the victories piled up. They were the best team in the league for a number of years. We were all fighting to just be more like them. So in Ahwatukee, we started that lightning and storm program, what we called at the beginning, pretty quickly, and that was the catalyst to the success you see today at Desert Vista. We really jumped in with both feet. Bill Nolan helped us get into the schools, and we had 60 or 70 kids in our first season, which was awesome. And from there, it's taken on a life of its own. But the state itself has seen a lot of ups and downs. We've lost a lot of programs. I think one of the big mistakes that state's made is merging of programs. The merging of the youth programs to win games has been a problem, and you can see how that's impacted the high school programs. Teams that were state champs are gone. Teams that were high-end Division I programs are struggling to field a team. So that's been a problem. So the youth group has really gone back and put in a boundary system, you would call it, to try and get people to work within their communities to build programs instead of just building the one-off super team, super club to win for a year. You're seeing a lot of that, I think, in Scottsdale in particular, where a lot of good lacrosse at the youth level, but it's only one program now where it used to be 7. So that to me was a mistake. Having several high schools in the Scottsdale area struggle and fold because there just aren't enough kids coming up. So they have a good group at high-end talent, but just not enough bodies to fill all the programs. The Desert Mountains, Saguaro now gone, Desert Mountain, Chaparral, Pinnacle, Horizon, all of those schools, several of them are now gone. So that's been the mistake that we've made in the past several years, and we're trying to fix that problem. And in comparison to the East Coast, there really isn't much of a comparison. When you talk about lacrosse in Maryland and Long Island and in upstate New York, they bleed lacrosse. It is the spring sport. Arizona, the challenges in Arizona are real with club soccer, club baseball, club hockey, year-round AIA acceptance of sports. That's a difficult nut to crack. They spring baseball league, pretty strong support of football in Arizona, and now, so we have a lot of challenges here. I think the key is going to be to get them early, get kids early, because it's a great game.
Absolutely, such a great game, and I think it makes such a big impact on people's lives, even if you can get them early. I know you're someone who always preaches play multiple sports. You get a lot of different experiences. What would you say is your pinnacle or favorite experience you have from lacrosse?
Ooh. There's a few good ones. There's a couple of pretty good wins out there. I don't know if I want to say, but beating an undefeated Brophy team in Desert Vista Stadium was a pretty big win. But I think it's not really one thing, one occurrence. The most rewarding thing for me has been the number of players that I coached or played under me that are coaching. And I see them in other programs. I see them at Desert Vista, and the number of kids that are still giving back to the game. That's all the reward right there. And we've done a good job. And it wasn't just me; it was the program itself. There's a lot of kids out there. Cody Wood, Harrison Crawford, Kelly Howell, just to name a couple. There's a few kids right now put in there. They're a small club team, both played for Dan in our program, and there's a lot of kids out there that are giving back to the game that played under in the Desert Vista program. That's the biggest reward.
I love that. And I think you said it earlier too. It's a game of community. When you're able to grow up in a community, you see role models in the community, and they start to share what's important to them. It trickles down to the youth, and those same morals and ideas are passed from basically generation to generation. Are there, I know you've told me the things that you always tell the kids to prioritize, but what values do you think lacrosse teaches to anyone who's involved with it?
Well, aside from all of the teamwork and everything that a team sport teaches you, lacrosse is one of those games. It's for the love of the game. There's no golden pot at the end of the rainbow. Lacrosse is a different sport. You see kids walking through the airport, and rarely do you see baseball kids or football kids that are walking up to each other saying hello, because there's so many of them. But when you see a lacrosse player out there, wherever you are, you're always looking. There he is. Oh, where's he from? Where's he going? He's going to he's going to go to this tournament or that. And it's a really tight knit community. You see guys that played club ball or not even club ball. And club ball's taken on a different life in today's world than it did back in my day. Club ball back in my day was a beer league, whereas now it's pretty advanced. But but guys that didn't play Division I ball, and they're off in Hawaii every year playing in a tournament together just because of the brotherhood that has developed, and it's it's somewhat unique, I think, compared to other sports. And of course, I'm biased because I'm involved with lacrosse, and I don't know how all the other sports are, but it really lacrosse carries over into real life. I think it's something you've pointed out a number of times. It really does, and we don't do it for this huge golden pot at the end of the rainbow. We do it because we love the game. We love the sport. We love the team aspect of it, and which is why I think you see so many people, young people like you, giving back.
Yeah, I think that definitely has been an inspiration for me. And you talk about what we take away from lacrosse. What's been the biggest impact lacrosse has had on your life, Bill?
It's been my the most amount of time for an unpaid job of anything that I do out there. Spend a lot of time on it. It's really it's made me part of the Ahwatukee community more so than I see the majority of than a good number of the parents that I know. I mean, it has defined who I am in Ahwatukee. Coach Bill. Sometimes it drives my wife a little nuts. Hey, you're Coach Bill's wife, yeah, that's who I am. It's given me a sense of community in Ahwatukee because it's such a small, it's a very tight community. It's landlocked on 3 sides with a freeway on the other, and lacrosse over the past 20 years has really defined who I am. It's hey, that's Coach Bill, and hearing that from 35-year-old men is a blast. I have to admit. So.
What type of leadership style would you say that you have, Bill?
Direct, a little bit of no nonsense. I don't know if you want to call it old school, but that's my way. We live in an entitled society, and I don't think you teach kids a whole lot by entitling them all the time. It's about fun, but it's about growing up, and it's about becoming leaders. It's about behaving like young men all the time, particularly when no one's watching, and trying to instill that upon them. I think it's important. I think it's been lost by a lot of sports who are shooting for the win at all costs. That's never going to be me, never going to be a program I coach in. The wins come with good coaching and growing young men. So. And women.
I love that. And I think we spoke about that in this last season that we had, for having such a big group of guys. You get to really choose who's got that integrity, who has the value system that we're really looking to cultivate to bring others up and empower them. And we got that from you in terms of setting the standard of lacrosse. And that's a really cool thing. To shift gears a little bit, we had an amazing conversation with all the Ahwatukee families back in November of last year, talking about college, what it looks like for these kids to be playing lacrosse, going to high school, going on to the next level. Can you share a little bit more about your experience with Tommy, the rest of your family, and how you look at your boys growing and going to college moving forward, and how lacrosse relates to that?
Grades, right? That's number one. And without them, forget it, right? You heard that from Cade Van Rapp. You heard that from Anthony Abadessa. Without the grades, there's nothing a coach can do to help you. If lacrosse can give that kid that little extra thing that gets them into the college of their choice, fantastic. I hate seeing the kids chasing, the college scholarship just to get the scholarship, knowing nothing about the colleges they're looking at. But I got that college scholarship. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I think any of us should be about. Hey, if your lacrosse skills give you the opportunity to go to the Amherst College, they put that little bit in your envelope, in your folder, that gets you into a high-end Division III academic school. Outstanding, but that's not what we're all about. We have had our successes, right? We've been one of the more successful programs in the state that comes to the high-end lacrosse, and that's just a product of the number of kids we've been had in our program and the coaching that they're getting, and inevitably that's going to happen. But if lacrosse can help XYZ student, because he's been a varsity athlete or for a couple of years, and he helps him get into the Air Force Academy, and I'm talking about 2 kids from Desert Vista, then fantastic. That's what we want. I hope that the education we're giving parents, that they learn from us. I think that the earlier we get these parents, 8th grade, 7th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, and hit them with the realities of what the lacrosse landscape looks like, that they'll be smart about their choices. You hear a lot about people chasing the scholarship, particularly with baseball and others, and soccer. Club soccer is a big one. And don't begrudge people. You never want to, you don't want to squash the hope. You don't want to squash the dream. There's nothing wrong with that. But the realities of lacrosse is you're not getting a full scholarship. You're not. And Duke and Princeton and Villanova are still going to cost you $30 grand a year, even if you get a scholarship, if you're good enough to play at that level. And, like Kyle Mox and you have pointed out, going to the Barrett's Honors College because you have phenomenal grades, and you're a good student, and going to ASU for free and having to pay a couple $1,000s to play lacrosse, that's a great experience. That's a great experience. It really is, and, if you're going to live in Arizona and work in Arizona, that's a phenomenal option, So we just really want to get the facts in front of people, because it's so hard to get there sometimes. There's a lot of these guys that are with a sales pitch, and I'm not fond of that. Just getting the right information, letting people make their own decisions.
I love that idea ultimately of, you can't influence anyone to do something. It's give them all the information, allow them to make the choice for themselves. And I think that's empowering for kids as well, to be able to say, hey, this is the reality. What do you want to do? But I think you've said something in the past to me in terms of the parents' role inside of that, in terms of giving them that access. How do we provide that information to the families in Arizona, as well as anyone else who may be watching this?
I think a lot of coaches are already doing that. I know that we're pretty open with our parents, getting them the information. In Ahwatukee, I see other programs that are doing similar things. Things like this are fantastic. Getting them out there. We can do better. I think more information on our websites, the youth and the high school websites. There's a little mission for you, a little mission for Ryan Berns to get on top of, something that we can put out there for parents about the reality of lacrosse and getting that to them. So I don't think we do a terrible job. We can always do better. But sometimes you're not going to get the message through. There are people that they're not going to listen, and that's okay. You're going to run into that. But in some cases you're wrong. In some cases the kid turns out to be just this amazing athlete, and he had the right connections, which is a big deal. There are some great resources here in Arizona for Division I, II, and III connections. We've got a lot. We're as the game grows, more and more of those kids are coming home. But yeah, I think just getting more information out, getting it on the websites, more of this, more of what you're doing. I think that's all we can do, right?
Well, then I feel like we're going in the right direction in terms of building Arizona into a hotbed. It's going to start with those little communities. We got Ahwatukee, we got Scottsdale. I know Tucson's even building up a nice community down there, and we see the kids coming up for some of the travel ball that we have going on.
Right.
Is there anything that we can do, Bill, to support you and your team? And when I say we, I mean this Lacrosse Leadership Institute.
We need more, this above everything else, we need more people like you who want to come into our communities and start from scratch. What I hear a lot from your generation in that 25 to 35 is how unbelievably busy you all are, and I believe it. It's a different world today, and you guys are busy building careers, thinking about building families and the like, but it's so much easier just to jump onto a program, jumping into an Ahwatukee, jumping into a Scottsdale. But when we do that, we're not building where programs need to be built. Tucson struggles mightily. Oro Valley's building a very good community-based lacrosse program. It's focused on feeding their high school. we need more of that. We need to try and get these high schools that once had stellar programs, we need them back. There's no Chandler, there's no Hamilton, there's no Saguaro, there's no, Desert Mountain is struggling to field a team. There's no Horizon. Fountain Hills goes way back, they're gone. But there's a number of programs that, Pinnacle is now another program that has started doing what we did. And all we did was copy Scottsdale. So Pinnacle's now doing the same thing with their Rattlers program. They're focusing on a program that specifically feeds Pinnacle. We need more of that. And in 2 years, they've got 70 kids. That's what we need. We need people to come in and help with those programs, to start those programs, be willing to take a risk, start with 15 kids, not worry about the wins, and go start a program. Get the Firebirds of Chandler back. There is a Firebirds program in there, sorry, but Willis used to have a program that was called the Firebirds. Anderson had a program at the school. They're both gone. And then now, of course, there's no Chandler High School program. There's the one Perry program down south. So getting people who are willing to put in a little bit more work than just jumping onto a program, and willing to help others at the expense of their own program. Be willing to say, this kid doesn't belong here. You need to be here. You need to go play here. And sometimes that's not easy when you have parents that want to win, because parents always want to win, and that is part of it. So I would say that if we could get everybody into the mode that Ahwatukee's in, and that is recruit 8-year-olds. If you can get your program moving so that you're only recruiting 8-year-olds, you're in a great place. You've now reduced the amount of work you have to do. You don't have to go after 14U, 12U, 10U, 8U. You've got them moving already. You're just going after 8U every year. You've minimized the amount of recruiting you have to do, and now you're just running a program.
And I think it's the most fun to recruit the 8-year-olds, in my opinion.
Watching the bobbleheads is awesome, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, we've had so many fun trial-ax clinics where you see the biggest smiles on these little guys' faces, even younger than 8, and they're just laughing and having the greatest time. I think that's my favorite moment with all of this, and I really appreciate you, Bill, sharing what it's going to take to build this out. And being over in this Chandler area, it's starting to get some of these gears flowing a little bit more. If we want to take this on and start building out a team, should we just be reaching out to you? Should we be reaching out to US Lacrosse? How do we go about?
Well, you do both, but you also reach out to the people that are already in Chandler. There's several people down there that are in the southern Chandler area. They've been working. Leslie's been doing a great job. Paul is over there doing good work. There are people already in place, right? So it's figuring out what we can do, and then focusing on doing it. And people are already doing it. They're working hard. The current Chandler Firebirds program is doing well, and they're a big program. They're just a little bit south. Getting the Chandler High School in Hamilton, I don't know if that should be a priority. Chandler's a pretty challenging beast with their football program. But there's 200 athletes on that team, and 30 of them play. So, if we can get the bottom 30, I'll take it. I would reach out to those folks. Lynn Porterfield's fantastic at US Lacrosse. She's a ton of knowledge, and they're all very positive, and they're all out there to help. And as a league, we want to see more teams. We want to see more teams growing, and giving, hopefully having a place to play when they get to high school.
Awesome. Well, Bill, thank you so much. I think you're such a positive guy. You're a hardworking guy, and those are the two most important things when I think about life at this point. Is you got to work hard, you got to stay focused, you got to be happy with what you're doing every day. So thank you so much for your time today.
Pleasure.
I really appreciate all that you've done for Arizona lacrosse. It's allowed me to continue to live my life to the fullest, and I definitely plan to keep on growing this, passing it down to as many people as possible, and we're going to continue to see this thing grow.
Outstanding. Thanks for having me, man. It was a pleasure.
Take care, Bill. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.